They went into the Bible and they said, well then who's the good guy? It must be Lucifer, the god of light, the god of wisdom and truth. Why was Lucifer thrown out of heaven? Because he rebelled, because he saw that it was a setup, that it was all rigged, and that that was evil. So they believe, and this, you got to understand, whether you believe this or not is irrelevant. This is their religion. This is what they actually believe. I've talked to many people who've given me different pieces of information about this from first-hand insider sources, or they themselves are first-hand insiders. These people honestly believe that they are the descendants of gods, that they are the chosen, that they are God's special people, that we are delusional, and that the true creator is this wisdom principle that they think of as Lucifer, that wisdom principle gave us ancient mystery school teachings, and that the enemy, which they call Adonai, the adversary, which we would call the Christian God, came to try to defeat them. Then they even take it a step further and they look at texts like the Bible and they say that where it says in the end times that God will take the money from the wicked and restore it to the just, that we as a planet are the wicked and they are the just. So this is how they justify their financial corruption. They don't believe that we deserve the money. In fact, they believe that if they did not dominate us and if they did not control us and play all these games, that we left to our own devices would destroy our planet. So in some twisted rationale, they believe they are saving the earth. They believe humans are bad for the environment. We cause pollution, so they have to reduce population. Then they seed that into movies like The Matrix, where Agent Smith says that that humans are like a virus on the planet. This is one of a variety of ways in which they will usually embed their teachings into the villain. Look at the Batman Begins, the latest new series of Batman films that came out in the past. In the first Batman reboot movie, again with Christian Bale playing Batman, it's the villain who actually articulates the Cabal's perspective. It's the villain who advocates population reduction, who describes why these things are necessary. Then look at the second one, where you have Heath Ledger playing the Joker. Everything about what the Joker says in the second Batman film is totally what they believe. They actually believe that creating these fake terrorist attacks that kill large numbers of people, that is a sad but necessary evil that they have to do in order to secure control of us to prevent us from destroying the whole planet. You have high-level people who believe this adamantly and are financing things like vaccines that actually have cofactors inserted in them that over time can be combined with other cofactors to try to create population reduction. So this is a very serious problem, but it is not just the internet community that is hip to this. That's another thing I really want to point out here. There has been a very powerful, high-level counterinsurgency within the highest levels of government on Earth that has been going on since the 1700s. It started in Russia. This is really where the alliance against this cabal got started. And that alliance has been working on plans that must take many, many years to complete. The people in this cabal have used secret societies like the Freemasons in which they guard their secrets through complex rituals in which the person who is an aspirant to that order has to learn how to keep a secret, has to learn secret handshakes, secret passphrases, secret codes. And what that does is it creates a body of people from which you can do recruitment. Because when you recruit from these people, they have now taken a blood oath that if they ever betray the secrets of the order, they will be killed. And when you go up to the 7th degree in Freemasonry, which is called Royal Arch Masonry, you swear that you will do anything within your power to free a fellow Mason from harm's way, even if he has committed acts of murder or treason against his own government. So this is perfect because when you get up to, like for example, the 30th degree, there was a book called Light on Masonry that was published in the late 1800s where all this stuff came out. It was actually the mid-1800s. And that book listed all of what people hear in Masonry all the way up to 33rd degree. When you get up to 30th and 31st degree, they say that the goal of their organization is to crush the head of the serpent of religion. Now, granted, organized religion has caused a lot of problems, but what they really mean is not that all religion should be excluded. It's that they want to make it so only their religion exists on earth, and if you don't follow their religion, you will be killed. So what they've been doing is they've been giving us their religion. They show it to us in, for example, the most recent Olympics opening and closing ceremonies was loaded with Cabal symbolism. They do it at the Grammys. They do it at the Super Bowl halftime show. They go out there in music videos and movies and video games and television shows, and they're showing us Luciferian symbolism. The reason why they're doing this is that they want us to become entranced by the idea of this religion, to have it be cool, to have it be trendy. So one of the things they do is this symbol, which is 666. Each finger is one of the stems of the 6. So you'll see people do stuff like this. You'll also see them put their finger over their eye like this. That's the all-seeing eye. Or they'll do this a lot. You'll have this kind of symbolism. So they're out there putting out these sigils and signs and codes and symbols, and they do it through things like pop music. So people start watching what's ever popular, and they're seeing flames, and they're seeing people dancing around in Baphomet horns, and they're seeing all this really strange stuff. Their goal, again, is to acquaint us with their religion so that if they get their goal realized, which is to create a massive world economic collapse, greatly reduce population, and then come out as our liberators, giving us this technology, giving us what they consider to be freedom, we would actually be trading our sovereignty for a much greater level of tyranny. Thankfully, people such as the Russians, as I said, since the 1700s, have been aware that this plan was in place, and they have been actively working to stop it. That effort is now so organized and so vast that there is no chance that the Cabal has to pull through this. They cannot realize their goals. They are being defeated, and I have meticulously traced on my show, Wisdom Teachings on Gaia, so many examples of how they're doing this. I've also written many, many articles, insiders from the Alliance talking about what's going on, revealing this knowledge to us. So there is going to be some sort of a major event, a mass arrest, and once that happens, they have 26 DVDs worth of information, of shows that will be airing on all the cable channels, that will be actually featuring, in many cases, surprisingly high-ranking public figures that we all know who have done this covertly. Some of them will be military political leaders. And they will be on these films telling us all this kind of stuff that I'm telling you right now. And it's going to be a massive awakening, but it appears that this will be very positive because we will be coming into a reality in which the arrests have taken place. And the Alliance has done some very high-level telegraphing of their move. To wit, check out the movie Iron Man 3. In Iron Man 3, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Iron Man, does what? He finds out that the Bin Laden character, played by Ben Kingsley, is actually being hired as an actor. And he's working on a green screen. And the Vice President of the United States of America, who looks surprisingly like Dick Cheney, and the President in that movie looks surprisingly like George W. Bush, he is frog-marched out of the White House in handcuffs at the end of the movie for financing this fake terrorist. Now that movie, Iron Man 3, was the biggest movie of the year when it came out. Then we have the movie Captain America the Winter Soldier, which comes out the year later, and again is like the #1 movie of the year, other than Hunger Games. And in that movie, the whole entire thing is essentially a documentary that's true about the Alliance and the work that they are doing to defeat a cabal that wants to kill many, many people. In the movie, the cabal has these flying aircraft carriers that are going to shoot holes in everybody with lasers through the medulla and kill you. And those people are stopped. And at the end of the movie, there is this big trial in which some of the people from this organization that defeated S.H.I.E.L.D., which really is supposed to be the NSA, are on trial. And they say, look, we're the best that the Earth had. We needed to step up and solve this problem. So in that Captain America movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. becomes like the NSA. Even though in the previous movies it was good, halfway through that movie, Captain America, you have a whole little documentary inside the movie wherein Captain America and Scarlett Johansson's character walk into this German base in which an intelligent computer tells them about Project Paperclip, that Nazi scientists were brought over here after World War II to America and were embedded into our society. Those scientists actually ended up taking over the military-industrial complex. They act as if it's still America, when in fact they are pursuing their agenda. And that is what S.H.I.E.L.D. turns out to be in this movie. Now, this is a major mainstream film that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. And my point in expressing this is, if you want to know what the Alliance is up to, they've already showed you. They've done it in very large movies. They're telling us the truth, and it does appear to be building up to some sort of event. And once that event happens, films like this are going to be taken far more seriously by far more people, because whoever was talking about this before it actually happened is now going to be validated, and we're going to see that they were telling the truth.
How do you know the good guys from the bad guys? So when Beyonce is doing her symbol, like how do we know if she's mimicking it or supporting it, or like it must be? It's very confusing for people. Do you have any suggestions?
I would encourage everyone to not blame the musicians who are displaying these cabal symbols. And I want to bring out one example. The female artist Keisha, or Kesha, I'll just go with Kesha. The female artist Kesha put out a video called Die Young, where she is dancing in front of a pentagram and singing about that her goal is to party so that if she parties hard enough, she'll die young. And she was quoted in the media as saying that she brushes her teeth with Jack Daniels. Okay, so it seems that this is what she wants to do. This is the video that she wants to make. So Kesha has the video Die Young out there in the public where she's dancing in front of a pentagram, which appears to be what she wants. It's her video, right? That's what we're trained to think. And then we get the Sandy Hook school shootings in which little children have had their brains blown out by gunmen. She gets so distraught, and they end up actually pulling her video and her music off of the airwaves because of the tragedy of Sandy Hook. And she's singing about children dying young. She gets this overwhelming amount of comments. Every single article you see about her when this happened after Sandy Hook, Illuminati bitch, just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. She must have been bombarded with people saying to her that she was a satanic, Illuminati, Luciferian sellout. So she comes forward in a public statement not too long after the Sandy Hook shootings and says that she was forced to do those songs, to sing those lyrics, and to perform in that video. She was not the one who wanted to dance in front of a pentagram. She was not the one who wanted to write the lyrics, I want to die young. She was told what to write. And then, this is the really important part, she comes out later on and said that she was raped by her producer, this man named Dr. Luke. Now, Dr. Luke has been a producer who has actually, in many cases, written the music for the vast majority of the most popular female pop stars in today's world. That's why all the music sounds alike. It's written and produced by the same people, so they have the same style, so yes, it all sounds alike. And there's not even that much variance in the vocals because they're using auto-tune to make everybody be bang on pitch. What happens is that Kesha ultimately files a lawsuit against Dr. Luke and says, and also against Sony, saying that nothing was done to stop her from being raped and that she wants to be free of her recording contract so that she can record independently as an artist. The case is thrown out of court. She loses. Sony wins. She's not allowed to get out of her record contract, and this happens right before very significant Video Music Awards that take place. Then what happens? You have some of the people who would normally be associated as Illuminati pop stars, Luciferian pop stars, like Katy Perry, like Taylor Swift, like Rihanna, like Lady Gaga, who all come out. Taylor Swift gives her, I believe, $250,000. Adele, in her award speech, speaks out in support of Kesha. Lady Gaga does a whole musical performance. What If It Happened to You was basically the point of her song about rape, and she's like crying on the piano. Now these are the people that we would think in most of the conspiracy analysis community, well, yeah, Lady Gaga wanted to be dressed up in this outfit with devil horns, and she wanted to be drenched in blood, and she wanted to have flames around her. No, what you're finding out is these people are doing what they're told to do. They want to have a career, they want to be famous, and once you get into the system, they just wear you down little bit by little bit. You keep giving up more and more power, more and more control. You know you're in over your head, and they keep your mind saturated with drugs and alcohol so that you are not capable of making intelligent decisions about your future. And you're so numbed out that you don't even really remember most of what's happening to you, and they just put your body on a tour bus, and if they can prop you up on stage night after night, then you're cranking out all this money for them by going on a recording tour. So this is the stuff that's really happening in our world today, and therefore I would encourage you to not blame the artists, but to look at the labels themselves. How is it, for example, that American television companies continued to give Bill Cosby television acting jobs for so long when there were so many reported rape cases that he had committed? We have the same thing over in the UK with Jimmy Savile, who was on Top of the Pops in the 1960s, is a very active television star through the 70s, in the 80s, on into the 90s, a huge celebrity. And there are over 2,000 people who have come forward to report that he raped them as children. And he was doing this in hospitals that he financed, in special rooms. And certain people have come forward in the Express, which is one of the main British newspapers, came forward and said that he was wearing a black robe, that there were candles in the room, and he was chanting in Latin, Ave Satanas, which means Hail Satan, as she was being raped in this ceremony. That's public record. So the British government has been doing a variety of investigations of all this stuff, and what they found is 261 figures of public prominence. Top politicians. In fact, I believe it's over 60 politicians were involved in this thing. Hundreds of celebrities. Some of the celebrities, yes, are involved. Some of them are brought in against their own will. High-level executives. This thing is pervasive through media, government, finance, military, politics, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, food. It's a very complex problem, and a lot of people immediately want to look away when they encounter this information. They say, this is overwhelming. In fact, and she's given me permission to say this now, my own mother, when I would talk to her about this, she said, David, I don't want to live in a world where this is true. And I said, Mom, you can't change the fact that these people exist. The evidence is right in front of your face. Now, some people do not want to look at it, and I respect that, but I honestly can tell you that if you are not willing to look at this stuff, you are part of the problem. Because you are burying your head in the sand, you don't have the courage to face the adversary. I studied martial arts for 5 years. I studied a very advanced form of martial arts. And what I learned in that teaching is you do not back down. You face the enemy head on. That's why I'm on this camera. I'm talking to you about this stuff right now. I am prepared to go out there in public and put my name behind this. And I want to say something else. One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers, from the cabal itself, is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. So I really want to make sure that this gets into the film. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Now, think about that. Well, I didn't give them permission. Why, for example, was there a document on display in the British Museum Library of London in the late 1800s that comprehensively lays out a plan for 3 world wars, during which time they will consolidate a Luciferian New World Order? And those 3 world wars are precise descriptions of World War I, World War II, and a third war in which they believed that most of the major countries have been eliminated and consolidated, and the only group left is going to be rogue mercenaries, which we would now call terrorists. They didn't use that word, but it totally describes Gulf War I, Gulf War II, the war on terrorism. That's World War III, because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny. We have